Good afternoon. I am Cozy Stone, and welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition, Season 2. And may I add, Happy Valentine's Day to all of you sweethearts. We are going to have another parent on today who is going to share her love, her sacrifice, and her compromises to bring another responsible adult in the world. If you would kindly take a deep breath and let it out, we'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
All right, Dana, give me my girl. Good afternoon, Miss Adrian Bates, and how are you?
I'm doing fine. Happy Valentine.
I know, the same to you, sweetheart. Folks, we're going to have Adrian on our show today that's going to again share her sacrifices and love for her daughter. Before we begin, I always like to repeat that we know that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. There's also no such thing as perfect practices for any and all children. Adrian just so happens to have one, but those of you who don't know that each and every child is different, and you have got to figure out how and what applies to each and every child. And I like to say every week, this show has nothing to do with parent shaming. We want to applaud, celebrate, and congratulate the parents who have done their jobs. So, Adrian, as we get started today, I'd like the audience to know a little bit of what made you, so what made you make another person. Can you kindly tell us where were your parents born and raised, pretty much, and where did they meet?
Well, my mom and dad, my mother was from Akron, Ohio, where LeBron is from,
Okay.
and my dad was from Tennessee, and they met in Los Angeles.
And how old were they when they met?
Oh, my mom was like 25, and my dad was probably 32.
Okay. So your parents were, let's call them more mature parents.
Yes, they were.
All right. Where uh, did you meet your father? Was he a husband when you met your daughter's father? Were you married to him?
When she was born, yes. No, I take that back. Shortly afterwards, we got married. It was a surprise to us.
All right. So we call those unplanned pregnancies.
Yes.
Where did where did you meet um, your sweetheart? It's Valentine's Day. Let's use sweetheart.
I met my daughter's dad at a jazz club in Los Angeles, and the show was over, I came out and I accidentally ran into him. Okay, I was
Wink,
with a
wink,
girl,
wink.
and then he came where we were standing and offered to buy us a drink, and the rest is history.
And how old were the both of you?
He was in his late 30s, and I was probably in my early 30s.
Okay. And when I ask those questions, Adrian, it more often than not follows that the 18-year-old's parents had an 18-year-old who had an 18-year-old. The
Yeah.
30-year-old, a 20. So that's the correlation to that question. How long did you know him before? And this is compound. How long did you know him? And when and as you got to meet him, were there qualities that he had that somehow you said you would have a child with him?
He was such a good guy. We had the same values. We went to some of the same schools, like we went to LA High. I was a Catholic school girl. He was Mount Vernon in Los Angeles and LA High. And we knew the same people. And we just started dating and got to know each other. And the rest is history, you know.
Well, how long before when you knew him, how long before you got pregnant?
Uh, Maybe 5, 6 months.
Okay. Yeah. This is life, Adrian. This is you're not the only person. Some people could have been the first date. That's all I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah.
It's so those who are out there listening understands we're all the same. And again, it doesn't matter if it was one night, 5 months, or 5 years. It's what you did with all of it, which is what we're going to talk about down the line. Now,
I
where
kept
were
sending him home.
oh well, that's because you were a Catholic girl. So where was he from? Oh, you said he was from LA.
Yes.
Okay. And his parents, were they also from LA?
No, they were from Washington, D.C.
All right. So we got an East Coast and West Coast person.
Yeah.
What were so now you're pregnant. When you first found out you were pregnant, and it never matters how old you are, did you feel fear or fantasy, Adrian?
Fear. Fear. I was going to be someone's mother. Oh, God.
And I would imagine you wanted to be someone's mother, but I also like to ask that question because even when you want it, planned or unplanned, what do you feel when the doctor first says, or in some instances, the stick, but the doctor told you, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes.
All right.
I
Um,
cried.
you what?
I cried.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you wink, wink, accidentally bumped into this man, was it his brains, his brawn, or his beauty? Is what I like to say. His beauty, his brains, or his brawn? What characteristics most stood out for you?
His beauty and his brain. I always say that I always needed a man to make love to my mind. Anybody can make love to your body, but I needed someone to make love to my brain. And he was a gentleman and turned out to be such a wonderful guy. And I couldn't have asked for a better father for my child.
Okay. So, what were some of the either morals or characteristics, easy for me to say today, that you shared or you did not have in common? Things that
We,
you may have wanted to institute in your child and he said no, or you both agreed.
we both agreed. We had very similar values. We grew up with family and brothers and sisters, and our parents were old school and taught us respect and how important education was. So we came up and we loved sports. That's what I loved about him too. Our house was always the house where we had a fight party or a basketball party. We loved sports, and so we had a similar background and we had a lot in common.
Okay, good. So that means while you're raising your child, you're on the same page.
That's right.
That's important. So you're in your 30s, so you didn't really need, as mature adults, you didn't really need family support. But I would imagine, since I met your wonderful mom, that
Mhm.
you both had it.
We both had it. My father-in-law was the best man at our wedding. So
Wow.
that says a lot about his dad. I love Pops, and he
Hmm.
loved my child, and he loved the family, and he was our patriarch. And at the end of his life, it was his wife, my daughter, and my ex-husband.
Okay,
We took care of him. The village took care of him.
correct.
Yeah.
Now you brought it up, so I get to ask: how long did you parent together? How long were you married?
We were married 5 years.
Okay. And once the 5 years kicked in, did you co-parent well?
Absolutely. We sat down and we talked and said, hey, just because we're not together, we've got this beautiful young lady, and he had two daughters from a previous marriage. And we came together with the meeting of the minds, and we said, we've got these girls and they love you, and we've got to do this together. So she's in Catholic school now, and the two others were doing different things. And I said, we have to be there for the girls. And let me tell you, he was a girl's dad and a wonderful dad. And when he passed, my girls, it was heartbreaking for them, and it took them about a year and counseling to relinquish their father. He was a good guy
Fabulous.
and a good looking
So
guy.
I already got that. The wink, wink. I bumped into him. Anybody buys that? Don't buy that. I don't buy that. You guys don't buy that. We don't bump into cute guys. We see them and we go after them.
It was
We
accidental. I have a friend that said, well, you just bumped into that guy.
yeah, right. Like I said, wink, wink. Adrian, when you were growing up, your mother said words of wisdom in your ear, probably from 5 to whenever you went to college. What are some of those words that she said that you found yourself repeating to your daughter?
Be respectful, loving, and always fair. And my mother always said, do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, God will always bless you. So that's a motto that I've carried with my whole life.
And that
Do
you
the
said
right
to your
thing.
daughter. And you said to your daughter, and chances are, when you become that grandmother you're waiting to be, she will say those same words to her child.
Absolutely. And my daughter grew up when her father and I split up and divorced. My mother was getting older, and I brought my mother to live with us. So she had her nana, and my mother had her baby. And when I'm the only girl,
Mhm.
I have two brothers, and my mother, when my daughter was born, she was there in the hospital with me. And when we came home, she carried the baby everywhere she went throughout the house. That was her baby.
Okay. All right. So we know where you're right now. You're waiting for that same act. Let's
Yes,
get into
ma'am.
the questions that you chose. The first question that you chose, Adrian, is what do you think? What do you think, or what would you say makes a good parent?
Love, discipline, and values.
Okay. Your next question: how did you prepare to become a parent?
Prayer and my mom. My mom was my guiding light.
Okay. So I'm going to make you talk a little bit more. So you met your husband. You guys found out 5 months later. Within those 5 months, and let's get before you met him, women who want to have children, more often than not, again, the fear fantasy question, there's a lot of fantasy that goes with that.
Hmm.
But the more mature, again, not shaming anyone, woman says, I want this, that, and the other when I give birth. Can you share one or two of those, this, that, and the others, as a female that you gave a lot of consideration to?
Well, I
Because,
always wanted children. I
right.
always wanted children.
And
Hmm.
what did you want to instill in your children other than
Values,
you? Okay.
values, and to be a good citizen, and how to, be independent.
Okay.
Hmm.
Your next question, we hit pretty more hit on this, but let's see if you can expand. How much of your parents' disciplines did you use?
50%.
All right. So give me some, but then I need you to elaborate. So respect, give me more.
Oh, yes. No, we could not disrespect me. You must talk to me, just like I give you respect, you must give me respect. And so if she was talking in class or was disrespectful to her grandmother, I would put her on punishment and say, okay, you know, you won't be able to go to the show this weekend with your friends. And so punishment was taking away things of value that she liked.
There you go.
Mhm.
There you go. Which
Mhm.
is not something that's readily done in today's climate and culture because the children's bedrooms are filled with everything you don't want them to have. So you probably do a better job just taking them out the bedroom,
Right.
right? Right. And of course we know about that doggone telephone. Your
Would you
next
like
question.
would you like to hear a funny little thing?
Yes, I would.
Okay, she was talking in class too much, her and her good friend. And I told her dad, I said, take the TV out, take the phone out, and take the VCR. So, because she was on punishment for a whole month because she was disrespectful and she talked in class, and I had warned her. And all her friends went ahead and recorded all her shows. So when she got off of punishment, she was okay.
That is funny. Again, we would have never had, we didn't have the technology for that.
Right, right.
Um, so then she went over, of course, to their house and she could watch it.
No, she couldn't do that either.
No,
She was
no,
on punishment.
but after her punishment was
Oh,
over,
yes,
she could
yes,
go over to their
yes,
house.
yes.
And of course, you had no idea they were taping these things.
Didn't find out till way later down the road.
Right, right. And it's so wrong on so many levels. The next question is, and did you know your child's friends? Did you know they were sneaky little sons of guns? Now, did you know your child's friends? And tell us why you think it's important that you did.
Yes, I know all of my child's friends, the ones that she went to grammar school, high school, college, and her tribe now. I know all the young ladies that are married or have children. They call me Mama A because I always try to lift the kids up because in the world that we're living in, it's very negative. So I tell them how smart they are, how proud I am of them. Yes.
Did you also know all of their parents?
Absolutely. If my child was going to spend the night out, I was going to go and meet the parents, and I expected them to do vice versa.
Okay. Yeah, it's important to know who your children's influence
That's
is.
right. And who they're associating with, and what kind of parents and what kind of home that they are. Because, I mean, look at the shooting in Michigan. You must know the parents, you must know that your children are safe and that you want to give them a safe environment to grow and be and do.
Right, right. Your next question. Does your child have more of your qualities or your partner's?
Probably more of mine. But she has a lot of his qualities. He taught her a lot of good things, and
Well, I need you to
I'd
give me an
say more
example.
mine, more mine,
Huh? I want you
more
to give me an
mine.
example. Give me an example of some of the qualities that she has, either of yours or of his.
Well, yeah, I'm a real estate broker. She became a real estate agent. I was a notary. She became a notary. I've always told her, let's buy property, and she owns 3 properties right now. So I'd say she has more of my qualities. I'm a risk taker, and she is riskier than I am.
Mhm. All right. And then your last question, what did you find was the hardest thing about parenthood?
Spanking your child, but you have to do it. And my mother, because remember, she lived with us. Nana lived with us. And one
Right.
day I warned her, don't talk in school. And I had this little thin canvas belt. And I said, okay, come here. I said, I warned you, do not talk in class. So I swatted her maybe about 4 times. And she said, Nana, Nana, save me. She's killing me. But guess what? She didn't talk in class anymore because she knew that her mom was going to spank her for misbehaving and being disrespectful. I didn't go for
Did,
that. No disrespect.
did your mother interfere when she was calling for her?
Oh, of course, Nana's baby. Absolutely. I had closed my daughter's room and my mother was in her room, supposedly laying down, taking a nap. And when her little baby said, Nana, Nana, save me. She's killing me. My mother took that door and she flew that door open. And I said, Mother, this is my child. Stay out of it. And she
Right.
had to respect that. And she did.
And that was going to be my next question. A lot of times, I watched my mom with her first grandchild, and I was in shock because this is not the same lady I remember. And I made a comment at the time. Worst thing could happen the grandchildren or grandmothers. Um,
Mhm.
but there also has to be a line drawn, with all due respect to your mom or to your
Yeah,
parents, to
yeah.
say, whether you say this is my child or however you say it,
Mhm.
that child still needs to know who's the boss,
Oh,
who's the
yes.
last word. We'll put it that way.
Oh, yes.
And,
Oh,
and,
yes.
and there has to be a point where the grandparent cannot go against you, because it'll confuse the child and it'll make the child sneaky, right?
Absolutely.
It'll make the child
Absolutely.
go around behind your back, and it'll make your mother be in collusion
Mhm.
with something that at the end of the day is not going to serve the child well.
Mhm. You're
So,
absolutely right. You're
yeah.
absolutely right.
And just for a minute, because we have some, because you gave me one syllable answers, by the way. It's same thing happens. I'm going to throw this in because it's true with animals, and when people have, especially dogs, and I've heard it. And the grandparent comes over, and they're giving them chips, they're giving them cookies, they're giving them, and the it's not. We know it's not good for the dog, and so I say to them, I used to sell dog food, and these little fat dogs would come in, and I kid you not, I would say to them, do your parents live close? Your parents come to visit? And they would say, how do you know? I said, because your dog is fat and you're not. So somebody's making this dog. And sure enough, um, you go to the store, you go to work,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing, people. I'm not going off target here with parenting. Parenting your animal is similar, very similar
Yes.
to parenting your child. And you grandparents out there need to be on the same page, because here's the reality. At the end of the day, whether it's a fat child or a fat animal, the parents have to pay for it, right?
That's
The
right.
kid is fat, the dog is fat, but the
Yeah.
hospital bills come to you. If the
Yeah.
discipline isn't the same, when that telephone rings or they knock on your door with bad news, the the grandparent or the parent has to understand, I didn't stick to my guns.
Right.
So love is tough, being it's Valentine's Day. Let's talk about love.
Yes.
Love is one of those things that you have to institute.
Yeah.
Discipline, it's part of the love.
Yes.
I think no
Yes.
is
Absolutely.
one of the best words you can you can teach a child, right? You can't have everything you ask for,
Yeah.
and or if you do, you explain what you have to do to earn it.
Yes.
Um, it it's
Yes.
we want to, and you have to love your child. There's no doubt about that.
And respect them
And,
too.
and respect
And
them. But
respect
you
them.
cannot spoil them with everything, with never saying no, with we have given our children the rite of passage to run over us as adults. I have a person whose child told me um, that he thinks all adults are dumb.
Oh, wow. So
I
he's
said,
disrespectful and he didn't learn respect
well,
because,
and he was given that right to pretty much think that. And I've
yeah.
never met anybody like that to this day. The attitude is pretty ugly and rough, but he was allowed. And
Yes.
whoever we are
Yes.
today, whoever we associate with, you can
Yes.
pretty much tell what kind of discipline. Um, Loving your child is, yes, telling them when they're wrong. There are people who go into the
Yes.
schools and discipline the teacher. Now,
It's disrespectful.
it is.
Disrespectful.
I'm laughing at you saying that you went in, for the most part, your child was talking too much. That was me. I mean, I wasn't bad. I wasn't
And
fighting.
it was disrespectful to her class and disrespectful to her teacher. And it's interesting, my mom, one day I was disciplining my daughter again, and she said something a little disrespectful. And I said, who are you talking to? I said, I know you're not talking to me and being disrespectful to your mother. And my mother winked. She was at the table and she winked like that was the right thing to do. And one other thing, you can't give the child everything. Because you are teaching them bad habits, and the world will hurt your child because they cannot have everything. And
Mhm.
so, and you must give them ethics to work by and to nurture them and to it's amazing, Cozy. So many kids, no one ever told them that I love you, or I'm proud of you. You are wonderful. I can't, that's why so many of these young people are turning to drugs, because no one approved them, so to speak. No one said. So when I see my daughter's friends, they love me and said, Mama A, really appreciate you. But I always try to lift them up. Oh, and you know what? I got it from my mother. My mother would say, Cozy, I love your hairdo. My
Yes,
mother
she did.
would say, your outfit is beautiful. I think you met my mom, and
Oh,
she
I
was
did.
always full of compliments.
Yes, she
She
was.
always lifted everybody up. And when my daughter would misbehave and she
Mhm.
did something, my mother would give me a little wink like, you're doing the right thing. But I'm going to tell you a quick, funny story.
Okay, we
One
got
day,
time.
one day we were driving home after a track meet because she ran track. Mother
Mhm.
was in the passenger, she was in the back seat, and she wanted something. And I told her, no, sweetheart, it's not in my budget for this month. She said, well, when I get grown, I'm never going to have a budget. And I stopped the car and turned around. I said, well, let me tell you something. Then you'll be broke and you will have nothing. And then I said, so you go right ahead, but it's not coming from me. And I kept on going. So we have to teach them discipline, love and discipline and values. And guess what? I was so proud of my daughter when she bought her first property, because she heard me. She saved her money, she got her credit right, and I gave her a nice large down payment to help her. And would you believe, maybe 4 or 5 years later, she got a better job, and she said, Mom, I really appreciate you giving me that money to buy my first, property. However, I would like to pay you back. I said, you don't have to pay me back, sweetheart. I wanted to help you. She says, no, Mom, I want to pay you back. And she paid me back. I was like shocked, but I'm grateful I got it back.
Oh, yeah. It is a thankful job. It's not, well, let me rephrase that. It should be. It should be. If you out there have never told your parents thank you and how much you appreciated what they did for you, it's not because it's Valentine's Day. Do it tomorrow, do it next week, do it before it's too late. They
Yeah.
need to hear it. Everyone likes to be appreciated. Everyone loves to be appreciated. And to get it back from someone that you carried for 9 months and went into 37 hours of labor and stayed up all night with colic and everything else that goes with teaching them how to read. And I mean, the whole package, it's a lot. So we are at your fun question. And your fun question is, after you've changed it, tell me, wait a minute. Is that? Yes. Tell me three best things about you, Adrian.
Loving, caring, and tenacious.
Loving, caring, and tenacious. I'm going to take that question off. That one's not fun. I got 2 minutes late. I'm going to pick
I
one.
knew I'd get you.
I'm going, all right, here's one, Adrian. If
Okay.
you could eat three foods for the rest of your life, what would they be? That's
Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate.
I'm not having you back on my show.
I'm a chocoholic. What can I
Oh my,
tell you?
that is hilarious.
I love chocolate.
You answered the question. Well, we are 2:29. It's okay. It's a 30-minute show. I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
It was everything I thought it would be. I hope my audience, with every show that we've ever had, got something from this. If you out there interested at all in being on my show, you can find me at cozyupandpayattention@gmail.com. I am looking for men and women who decided that they just did not want to have children. I think we should promote and applaud them as well, because we gave it a lot of thought and recognized it's not for everybody.
That's
It
right.
just isn't.
That's
On
right.
the other hand, what this show does is we applaud and celebrate those of you who gave it your all the thought, all. Let's just leave it at that in quotes.
Yeah.
And we'd like to have you on here as well. Now, Not only am I a podcast host, I'm very proud to be one, I'm also a self published author on Amazon. I believe the first rule in life is to pay attention, no matter what you're doing. So my books are called Cozyism, The Art of Paying Attention. They're one-liners, and they are have beautiful art that accompanies them. So for the persons who have said to me in the past, I don't like to read, first of all, shame on you for saying it out loud. Uh, People actually say, I don't like to read. Don't let anybody know that. They're one-liners, and they're mostly funny, and they make you laugh, they make you smile, they make you think. Cozyisms on Amazon. We will be back here next week, God allowing. And as I close out every week, I like to say, folks, sometimes when we know better, we do better. I thank you very much. Adrian, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Stay near your phone for a second. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. See you next week.